two fellas are playing.
Yeah, Robin is bringing the Ability Zard deck, very similar to what we saw earlier on stream with Nico. He's sticking with that, 4 supporter-based build, and it looks like we're going to be seeing a non-GX Blacephalon Pidgeotto archetype. This is one that has been in and around the top tables here and there. I've seen 1 or 2 people still going far in the tournament with it, and it looks like this is one of the highest placing Pidgeotto Blacephalon decks, and this is an archetype that I sort of low-key had on my radar for this tournament. I really do think it has a lot of good matchups at its disposal, so Robin has his work cut out for him here.
Yeah, very much so. We were even saying at the beginning of the day how, the single prize Blacephalon is one of the few single prize attacking threats that can actually really stand up to these big, bulky tag team Pokemon, and clearly Rafael has been able to pilot it to great success so far. I mean, he's sitting with a day 2 guaranteed, and potentially, with another win here, could put himself in amazing talk contention for top 8.
Yeah, absolutely. And he gets to go first in here. It looks like he's also got himself a Fiery Flint to get things off, throwing 2 Fire Energies away, helping him thin the deck to get rid of 4 more straight into his hand. This archetype works all around Fire Energies.
Yes.
It's very simple. You're going to try and get a bunch into play, a bunch in your hand, and use that for your damage output.
Yeah, exactly. Fireball Circus for free Fire Energy doing 50 damage times the number of Fire Energy you just guard from your hand. So kind of similar-ish to, the Blacephalon GX, except that it costs 1 extra energy and you're discarding from hand instead of sending stuff on the field to the Lost Zone.
Oh,
but
no!
Oh!
This is really, really, really bad for him. He could actually be facing down a turn 1 knockout from Robin.
Oh, that's horrendous.
Welder's on the table. Your little 120 hit point Blacephalon is not safe at all. It looked like he had a great start with opening with the Flint, but that was all he had.
Yeah, that's not ideal in the slightest, and it is not going to be hard for Robin to find a KO here. He can do it with a Heatran, he can do it with a Reshiram and Charizard, because the Heatran does 130, of course, and
exactly.
The Reshiram and Charizard's GX attack does 200, so...
Robin's even started off with a Jirachi as well, so he's got some good push potential here to try and make that happen.
Yeah.
Haven't really got an eye of his hand just yet, so we don't know how close he is. I think I saw a Pokemon Communication, so at the very least he's got Dedenne GX access.
Yeah, so he's got 1 Fire Energy hand as well, so he can put that down onto the Heatran just to get the one manual attachment, and then all he'll need from there is 2 more Fire Energies and a Welder and a way to switch, and he wins the game.
We see bench attach. We also see a Giant Hearth come into play.
That's
and
good.
It's just going to be a Dedenne change, throwing away 2 Fire Energies. We're looking for Welder and a switching card to close out game 1 here in rapid fashion. There's the Welder. There's also a Flint. He can also Giant Half, so he's thinning as much as possible, so that the Welder gives him better draws, as well as the Stellar Wish here.
Yeah, he's almost there. Oh, he has a switch. Oh, that's it.
Oh, it's already all there. Fantastic.
Good grief. Robin takes an immensely quick game 1, and we're going straight into game 2.
Well, that feels bad.
Yes,
Rafael,
it does.
His draw engine is very much based on the Professor Elm's lecture, similar to actually the Pidgeotto controlling archetype a lot of the time. You're trying to use your own Stellar Wish Jirachis to help you get there, and unfortunately, he just didn't have those outs early on, missing all his Poké Gears, missing all of the physical supporter outs, missing Jirachi, missing Ultra Space, all sorts of things were missed there in unlikely fashion, but Robin's archetype being so aggressive was able to capitalize on that to the fullest extent.
Yeah, it is, as you might say, a big oof from...
it's so savage.
Yeah, so from Rafael's side, but at the very least, the one silver lining he can take away is, okay, game 1 finished very, very quickly, so we have plenty of time to finish out game 2 and 3. If my deck can set up the way you would like to, I know that I have a very good chance at actually trading favorably in the prizes and winning this matchup. So that's what Rafael has to bear in mind going into game 2 and 3.
You've just got to take it on the chin. You get to go first again. You know that you can't get that unlucky again. Fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, you can, but you'd hope not.
And you've also had a little bit of knowledge about Robin's deck as well.
Yeah.
You get to see that he's at least playing some GXs. You know that he's more than likely going to be something like an Ability Zard-based archetype, because Heatran GX only really features in maybe Blacephalon GX decks or the Ability Zard, as well as a mirror match.
Yeah, very much so.
So yeah.
Prizes for Robin. 2 switches could be a little bit annoying. Mega Low Punny and Jigglypuff does not matter in the slightest. He'll be very content to prize that. Meanwhile, from Rafael's side, Heatran, 1 great catcher, Fire Energy. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's
not the absolute worst.
Yeah.
I think as long as he gets a decent start in this game, he's just going to take that.
Yeah. So.
Starting off with a Pidgey by the looks of things.
And another one, and a Blacephalon, so...
Okay, already as quick as last time, but I don't think he's got a supporter either.
No, he's got literally no draw cards.
No, not again. He's got himself that faithful Fiery Flint that can help thin a bunch of these Fire Energies. But it really is, at the moment, no no means of finding
No.
Elm, which is really awkward. I don't even think he has a Pidgeotto for next turn.
No, he doesn't. He's got Fiery Flint.
It's Flint. He's just got to get rid of every bad draw
Yeah.
here.
Just a bunch of. I think his hand is now just basically going to be Fire Energy and Fire Crystals.
Yes, it is. He is just saying that I don't want to draw any of these cards, get them into my hand as quickly as possible,
Yep.
and nothing else. That is really it. Get me 4 fires.
Yeah, 1, 2.
I'm just going to have to attach for turn to my Blacephalon and pass, probably. You could even pay retreat on your Pidgey if you want to, and protect your Pidgeys, because, I mean, the only way you get back into this game is if you can draw cards.
Yeah, exactly. So ML is going to be vital here. Of course, the ML ability allowing you to just look at the top 2 cards of your deck and then pick one of them, the cards you find, put it into your hand, and then put the other one on the bottom of the deck. It's just a really great draw engine that we've seen it used in the Pidgeotto control and in this deck.
Well, we see it pass over to Robin again. I think Robin as well must be pretty happy with how that turn one went. I mean, no supporter from Rafael. Normally you'd expect the Elm like immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you're just getting like 1 extra Pidgey down and grabbing some Pidgeottos for the following turn. So again, he might be sniffing out the fact that Rafael hasn't drawn fantastically well, and he's going to try and take the tempo as quickly as possible, because I think that's Robin's only win condition.
Yeah.
You just got to try and tempo out on those initial turns, knowing that, yes, your opponent can get up trades and prizes, but if you just race quickly enough, it's not going to be too much of an issue.
Yeah, and Rafael has done absolutely the right thing here. You've made the best of a bad situation. Again, the only thing that you could maybe consider is, like you said, retreating the Pidgey just to protect it. But I think other than that, he's done the best he can to thin out his deck out of all the bad draws.
Yeah, he thinned 8 energies out.
Yeah.
So hopefully he only has decent draws from now on. Now that's not strictly true. There are a handful of cards that aren't going to help him, but hopefully he's done all he can to get himself into good shape here.
And he's got a number of decent outs here as well. If he finds a Welder, that's great. You can then just draw some more cards from there. If he finds like a Pidgeotto, that's great too. He has got.
Yeah, he's by no means out of it.
No.
We're going to see the Cherish Ball from Robin going for that early Heatran. We also see a skateboard from him. That's one of the pieces to get that Heatran into the active and swinging early. We also see a Pokemon Communication here, putting his Turtonator back into the deck. It's very much like an old school style of Ability Zard in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I think really
much.
The only real changes are the addition of Megalophony and Jigglypuff and the Zeb Striker that comes into the list.
Yeah, and of course he was able to find that skateboard off of the Stellar Wish, so that's really nice for him, because now, having found this second Jirachi off of the Pokemon Communication, you can just attach your skateboard and go for the Stellar Wish again. Like we see so often, in the early turns, it's really handy to just
switch already as well.
Even
so
better.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he can do this all before the Dede change by the looks of things.
Yeah,
his hand is amazing.
Well, that is a little bit busted.
Right now, Robin not missing a beat here. 6 fresh cards. Can he find himself again that Welder? He's found a bunch of Fire Energies, so it's a big Stellar Wish now.
Yeah, that is not a great hand at all. So
both players have almost identical hands at this point with just Fire Energies.
Yeah. Oh, but he does find a Giant Hearth and a Cherish Roll as the Stellar Wish, so he can get himself the Denny for next turn, for example.
Yeah, it's one for next turn. It's not quite the tempo that he took in that first game.
No, not at all.
But he's still got to be feeling okay. But this does open up the door for Rafael to have a little bit of breathing space at least.
Yeah, very much so. It's not going to be like the first turn KO on the Pidgey that could have perhaps happened otherwise.
Absolutely.
Now.
So Robin just shuffling up. He'll probably just hold the Cherish Ball, I would imagine,
and
just send it over to Rafael.
Because he can decide what to get off of it based on what he draws for the next turn.
Exactly, yeah. So it looks like there's not many other actions going on here.
No,
he may be debating...
benching the Victini, I imagine, or retreating as well.
Yeah, he can just retreat. He has the other escape board in hand.
Yep.
So this just means that he can protect the guaranteed escape board.
Oh,
it's a big draw for him.
Heat Factory, that is ideal. We can use that to discard the Fire Engine and draw 3 more cards.
We're totally back in this game as long as these 3 cards get us towards supporters or more draw. Well, that's not those, but...
But yeah, okay, he's got a skateboard, so you can use that to attach to the Pidgey, attach an extra energy to the Blacephalon and go for the Blazer, so just to get some initial damage onto the field. And if he flips over a Fire Energy, you can actually take a knockout on the Jirachi as well.
Do you go for that play, though? Do you think...
No.
I think the biggest thing is you're against Ability Zard, and the one thing you know is that they are using Ninetales to Gust.
Yes.
So as soon as you haven't seen a Vulpix, you know that this Blacephalon can just chill in the back. He's holding on to at least 1 Fire Crystal, maybe even 2. So if you can just slow attach, it really puts Robin off from just going early game Heatran.
Yeah, very much so. It's a very good point. As Robin goes over to his turn, he uses the Heat Factory himself to discard a Fire Engine, draw 3. Finds himself a Dedenne off of that, so that's pretty good. It means he can use the Cherish Ball to get something else that isn't Dedenne, but at the same time, that doesn't look really like the kind of hand you wanted Dedenne away.
Yeah, his board state's going to end up looking really weird. He'll have to put down the Victini Prism Star, and then go for a Dede change if that's what he wants to do. He could also just use this Cherish Ball now and hope that the Stellar Wish bails him out and works toward a Welder. That's also something that's available.
So Cherish Ball for the Reshiram and Charizard GX is what he's going to find, and I mean, his hand aside from that is not that amazing.
Yeah,
if he finds a Welder off of a Stellar Wish, that might make it really good.
I imagine he's going to wish first, before just like committing to a Dedenne, because especially when you have your Pal Pad, you'd really love to get some value out of that before throwing it away.
Yeah, exactly, and you really want to.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good find. It is interesting how sometimes you have the decision over whether you want to Dede change first, either before or after the Stellar Wish, and it really just depends on the current situation you're in.
Yeah.
In Robin's current situation, he really doesn't want to throw all that away if he can't help it, so it absolutely makes sense to go for the Stellar Wish first.
Yeah, and it wasn't only like the Welder outs he could find. He could find any of his additional switches and go for a second bite of the cherry with his other Jirachi, so it definitely makes sense to go down this route and try and get some extra value out of the other cards currently in your hand rather than just throwing them all away.
Absolutely. So there goes the Victini Prism onto the bench, Weldering to it. Of course, this is really cool because Robin, he doesn't have that many fire energy in the discard, but it's still enough to KO the Pidgey, and then it just gets his fire energy resources back to do more Welders and discards and all that wonderful stuff that this deck does.
Like we said, there's nothing Rafael loves more than just up trading.
Yes.
That's his win condition here. So if Robin can try and weave in the Victini Prism Star and the Turtonator on these different turns, that's going to make the game much longer and more difficult for Rafael because he'll have to find all sorts of resources throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and recognizing that Robin uses communication to put the Reshiram and Charizard back into the deck, does not really want to bench that at all in this matchup because that would be way too favorable in uptrade, and it looks like he's going to grab himself that Vulpix instead.
I think you have to here because you can't just let Rafael sit behind his Blacephalons, and I think also part of Robin's win condition is just trying to deplete the board of Pidgeotto.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play Reset Stamp, I don't believe, and if he does, it would only be like a one-off copy because ability-based Charizard doesn't really have the space to commit towards that sort of card, especially because they are so Dedenne GX focused that they won't be able to get value out of it on the right turn a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So he has to just ruin the engine instead.
Yeah, neither player is playing Reset Stamp in this game,
exactly.
so that will not be a factor in this game at all.
We're going to see a manual attachment to the Heatran. We're going to see the second escape board go onto the Jirachi. You're seeing that there's 2 fire energies in the discard pile right now.
Oh, that's actually not enough then.
Has Robin miscounted here?
Maybe, yeah, because maybe he thought he had 3, but no, 2 is not enough.
Ooh, that's actually a big deal here.
Yeah, that means no KO on the Pidgey, because of course it's got 50 HP. Ouch.
Maybe what he's hoping for now then instead is that he's going to pass here, make it so Rafael finds like one of his 2 escape boards. The archetype really has a low amount of switching cards, and really make Rafael have a lot. Make him have energy, make him have a skateboard, all just to take a Jirachi knockout instead.
Yeah.
Okay, Robin's going a different route. He's saying, well, that wasn't enough for the Victini.
Yeah.
Let's just take the 1 prize with Heatran. And this is where the game opens up a lot.
Yeah, exactly, because that is a 2 prize attacker that Robin has put active. So now all it takes is 1 fire energy. Oh, Professor Helm's Lecture as well.
It's a really huge draw.
That's amazing. So now Rafael can really get his engine going. He can grab himself 2 Pidgeotos and another Pidgey, really start to, you can do 1 ML to start to dig a little bit more, and I think he actually has enough energy in his hand for the KO already. I mean, he must do, right? He has so much from before.
Yeah, with Fire Crystal, there's no way he's not being able to Fireball Circus here for a bunch of prizes.
So, yeah, there it is. As we predicted, 1 Pidgey, 2 Pidgeotto. One of the Pidgeotos will come down straight away because, of course, that Pidgey has been down for a turn, and now the engine can start getting rolling.
Yep, there's also even the option for Heat Factory. I'm not sure if he has quite that amount of surplus energies, but he could try and dig a little bit deeper. That's going to be what we see here.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Fire Crystal and Ultra Space, all amazing.
Yeah, and not only that, but a Welder for next turn too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really, really great find. So now he can find himself a backup attacker as well. This is about an ideal turn as Rafael could ask for.
So he'll be taking 2 prizes this turn. Robin really sat in an awkward spot where he'll be trying to get a knockout, hopefully with a Victini Prism, and then, he probably has to deal with the Blacephalons themselves. Maybe he can't even go for the Ninetales route much. It really is a toss-up to see how he wants to do this, because Rafael's hand is already pretty stacked. There's so many cards in there. There'll be 2 more at the end of this turn after the prize cards, so does it even feel worth going for Pidgeotos at this point?
Yeah,
you just got to try and attack the Blacephalons as they come now, right?
Yeah, I think at this point it's just you are, in terms of attacking tempo, you are way too far behind. These Blacephalons are going to put in a lot of hurt onto your field. Rafael's going to uptrade very favorably, and now straight away with the Fireball Circus, 200 damage. That's the knockout, and now Robin's really on the back foot.
Yeah, it's a pretty awkward situation for him. Robin would have loved to have been able to use that Victini Prism Star just to make this less of an issue right now, but at the same time, he can try and use this Victini, like he can weave it in any time to try and skew the prize trade if possible, but the door's really opened to Rafael now. He's got that initial hand advantage going, and Robin has no way to deny that. That's one of the biggest issues of the ability Charizard archetype, is that you just don't have the disruption options available to you.
No, you really don't. And like we were saying, although he can get a Ninetales here, maybe start to KO that one Pidgeotto, but Rafael's hand is so stacked with fire crystals that
he's already there.
Yeah,
he's already got his next like 2 prizes at least mapped out.
And if you can find a great catcher, then
exactly.
the game's pretty much as good as over. He just KOs the dead NA, and then 2 more KOs will be all she wrote.
Robin might be choosing to fail this Stellar Wish. He is eventually going to opt to go for the Welder. I think he's eyeing up whether it's worth like weldering before Dead A change, or if he just commits to Dead A change now.
I mean, there's nothing that amazing to welder to, especially because the Heatran's now gone, so it's not even a case of I can welder to whatever and then put the Heatran to the active and use the Burning Road ability to move the fire engines to that.
Yeah, the only benefit is knowing that he'll probably want to weave in Turtonator at some point in the game. You just throw the energies anywhere for Turtonator to like steal for later.
Yeah, and of course Turtonator being another single prize attacker will be very important for him to use at some point, and it looks like that is kind of the thought process that's going on through Robin's mind as he does just go for the Welder, attaching 2 to the Vulpix.
Yeah, you always want to pick Vulpix because Great Catcher is normally the card that you'll see for the gusting effect for the Blacephalon Pidgeotto based deck. So it's nice and safe there. And he's also eyed up a Pokemon Communication now, and he can try and work towards maybe this Turtonator at this point.
Yeah. This looks like that's actually just... Oh no, it's going to go for the Ninetales.
Okay, maybe that opens up... Maybe he is thinking that although there's a large hand from Rafael, there's still a lot that he needs to find. It's not only like 1 Fire Crystal, because it would have to be like Fire Crystal, also Welder, also Fire Crystal to deal with like the Victini Prism. So maybe it is still worth attacking this Pidgeotto engine. We'll see what Robin wants to do.
So, Ninetales, gets found there. You will be able to evolve it up. It is just a problem that goes back to what we were saying before, though, that going for the Pidgeotto here means that you're just not dealing with the actual attacking threat. There's so many instances where we've seen in previous games on streams where you try to deal with the support Pokemon just to try and disrupt them, but then it just doesn't matter because the attacker's all ready to go and all your threats are dealt with, and then you end up losing the game. And that's pretty much the kind of how it's going to play out in what we're seeing here, into who's going to end up winning this game because of it.
Okay, so by the looks of things, Robin was 1 energy short, so he actually was forced into going for the Dead A change regardless.
Okay.
So he's already done his manual attachment to the Victini Prism. We're going to see him do 1 more switch for 1 more Stellar Wish before he brings in that Victini for a knockout here.
And he does find himself off of that Stellar Wish, looks to be a Cherish Ball, a couple of other options. Does just go for the Giant Hearth? Nope, does go for the Communication instead.
I think Giant Hearth is so awkward in this matchup, giving your opponent that essentially a 300 damage each turn.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is it?
But even though it's your opponent's stadium, it's like better for it to be in play than your own stadium. Normally you expect you to play ones that are more synergistic with your own list.
Yeah.
But here, Rafael can use Giant Hearth to great effect as well.
Yeah, so Victini Prism coming into the active instead. Robin doing a count to see how many energies are available to Rafael to maybe get back with Fire Crystal. But in the meantime, I do believe there are enough energies in there now, to go for this Infinity, and we'll be able to get the knockouts here.
Robin just double, triple checking, and he's going to take the first prize, trying to mount a comeback here. He's behind in the prize race. We know that there's already another Welder and a couple Fire Crystals in Rafael's hand. So it's going to be down to seeing if he can keep up this tempo for the rest of the game, because that's the only thing stopping him right now.
Yeah, and the one thing that, of course, does play into Rafael's benefit is that Robin did have to bench another dead NAGX, so, all it takes for Rafael will be to find a couple of great catches and this game is over.
In the ideal scenario, it's great catcher, great catcher. That's the best way he can go about trying to win this game.
Yeah,
Second Pidgeotto hits the board. We can also see an Ultra Space here, thinning and making sure he gets his next Blacephalon ready to go.
That is the other thing as well, actually. Of course, Giant Hearth, although it does make it more, easy. It does make it easier for Rafael to get fire engines of his own. The fact that you could also argue that getting a third Blacephalon is more important. So, so the fact that Rafael has the guaranteed access to that now means that it's just going to be a big problem for Robin, because as soon as this Blacephalon goes down, another one's ready.
We're going to begin with some airmails. It's actually interesting that he opts to go for this before the welder, because you can guarantee 3 cards into your hand straight away.
Yeah.
And it gives you more knowledge, because you always know you're going to be going for welder this turn. I actually, in a sequencing sense, would have preferred to see the welder first. But here we are. We're seeing a couple airmails first. Regardless, he's building up a giant hand.
Very much.
And as we have to keep saying that Robin has no way to disrupt this hand. This hand is going nowhere.
No, exactly. So Rafael's hand is stacked and staying there.
Yeah. These cards are cards to keep.
Yeah.
Again, we're seeing a Poké Gear here. Obviously looking for future welders if possible. Nothing wrong with thinning extra Professor Elm's lectures as well. They're cards that you really want to do on turns 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And from then on, you're just hoping to welder throughout the rest of the game.
But even so, thinning out the deck, meaning that you don't draw him off welder, is absolutely fine. So now I imagine we will finally see the welder get played down. Yep. Welder, 2 fire energy onto the Blacephalon, 3 cards drawn. We've got 4 Blacephalon, that's not too bad at all. And another welder for next turn.
Well, he's in good shape.
Yeah, Rafael is sorted at this point.
The only thing we're missing is that great catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, he's forced himself into having to attack, 3 times to be able to win rather than just 2 turns.
But, I mean, still fine, right, honestly.
Overall, as long as he's still got access to welders and still has enough energy and fuel to get through the game, shouldn't be too big of an issue. And of course, Rafael also plays his own Victini Prism Star. That's something that you definitely can't forget, because we're seeing him burn through a bunch of fire crystals and fire energies here.
Yeah.
So as long as he keeps enough in the back for a Victini Prism, he's not going to struggle.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very easy KO here as well. Only needed to discard 2 energy with the Fireball Circus to do the 100 damage with the Victini, only having 90 HP, of course. He does opt to...
3rd Pidgey, that's always nice.
You get even more airmails, so drawing cards wins games.
It absolutely does, as we see him go down to 3 prize cards now. And it's over to Robin to see if he can sort of stem this flow.
Yeah.
It really is almost out of his control, because Raphael's draw engine is online at this point.
Yeah.
He's ahead in the prize race. He's only going to put down non-GXs. So the only way Robin can slow him down is by continuing to use as many non-GXs as he can, extend the game for as long as possible, so that there'll be a moment where Raphael misses.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately for Rafael, he wasn't able to fish out one of his 2 great catches in the prizes. Means that he is only playing 2 of them, so he's going to have to essentially really fish for it next turn. But actually, no, he doesn't need to do that, because he can take just 1 KO on a non-GX, and as long as he finds 1 great catcher in the next 2 turns, he's good to go.
It shouldn't be a huge issue for him. Robin does now opt to replace that stadium. Of course, he's thrown all of his energies back into his deck, so he's got to start thinning those out for his own sake.
Exactly, but I mean, also at this point, it doesn't even matter, because Rafael has literally fished out every single Pokemon that the Ultra Space can search. So the only Ultra Beast is playing Ardos Blacephalon, so it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yep, so probably the Giant Hearth will be staying in play for the rest of the game now, because it benefits both players. And Robin does have the Turtonator option available to him. I imagine the only path he has is try and attack this Turtonator and then try and put up the big Reshiram and Charizard.
Yeah,
and just hope that Rafael can't find great catches. Yeah, that's really his only route here.
Yeah, it's got to be a way of thinking of. Maybe hope that Rafael burns through so many energies and fire crystals that he doesn't just have the means to take the one shot.
Exactly. And there are a good amounts of fires in the discard pile currently. There's also a couple, or maybe even 3 fire crystals played. It's at least 2.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it is 2. I think the 3rd one might be still sitting in his hand.
Cool.
Meanwhile, after Stellar Wish, Robin finds a Fiery Flint, which he considers getting. Yep, he will go for that.
I really do like the inclusion of Fiery Flint to this list. It wasn't really a card that you saw much of in the build, because Giant Hearth was just such a solid card. But this is just awareness of the metagame, and awareness that Chaotic Swell is such a big card that adapting the list is definitely an important factor here.
Yeah, because what if your Giant Hearth doesn't stick, or if you can't make it stick exactly because of that Chaotic Swell, at least then you have an extra out which is immune to that, to just get a bunch of fire engines, to make sure your welders go off smoothly.
So we saw Robin shuffle about 8 or so energies into the deck and pull 6 out this turn all in one go.
It's pretty
good. We see 3 energy onto the Turtonator, and he's just going to remove all 3 of those and take a knockout on another one of Rafael's Blacephalons here.
Something I neglected to mention at the start of the game, looking at Robin's list, he's playing 18 basic fire energy.
Yep, it's the good old-fashioned theme deck build.
Exactly, because I think when obviously Tord had his really high first success with the list, he was opted at 17, but Robin's like, you know what, man, nah, 17's not enough. Let's add in 1 more, just in case.
18's that key number.
Yeah.
You're just going to make sure you got enough to push through on tag teams. Just going all in on that Victini Prism Star, taking 1-hit KOs. It's just such a big swing in games. So first of all, Rafael kicks off. He uses that Giant Hearth, throws away an Elm that he doesn't need. He also bumps his own Stadium and just goes for a quick Ultra Space, gets it out of the hand. I'm pretty sure he's confident that there aren't any reset stamps coming, but there's no reason to not play around it as much as possible.
Oh,
so
no, of course.
I think the only real thing we're kind of missing right now, there's even the Victini Prism in his hand.
Oh, wow,
so
okay.
he's not going to struggle in terms of resources to close out the game here.
In fact, does he just go for this now? Yeah, I think he does.
Yep, he does indeed. He's going to go grab himself 3 cards. Oh, wow. Okay. He's got welders for days now. He'll be putting a bunch of fire energies back into his deck. He's got 3 airmails. I think there's already the escape board in his hand. Just picks up a fire crystal. He's got it all.
If you want a textbook example of the power of this deck, look no further. This is exactly what this deck can do when it's at full power and operating on all cylinders, and it is scary, honestly.
This was after a supporterless turn 1 as well. Let's not forget. It was really rough.
Yeah.
And now in that sort of mode where he's got triple airmail available to him, he's just picked up a Jirachi as well from that airmail, giving himself even more draw options, just making sure that he can't slow down at any point in the game from this point on.
It is also interesting because, of course, when this Blacephalon first came out, some people were hyped on it. I remember you yourself, you were sort of rating us on one of the highest rated cards in this set, but then it kind of fell off the radar a little bit until it seems like this year Pidgeotto engine picked up and realized, okay, this is how we actually make this deck go consistent throughout the course of the game. We can't just rely on welders, but having this non-GX consistency engine in Pidgeotto just really took it off to like new levels.
Yeah, it had like a surprise breakout performance, making a top 8 in the NEIC.
Yeah.
With that green space build, and then from then on, we've seen Pidgeotto sort of take over and become the more popular variant, and you can see why. Just having this fallback can really put you ahead in a prize race, and then just make sure that you can't ever fall behind afterwards.
Very much. Okay, very clever play here from Rafael. Before going for the Infinity, he preemptively plays the Fire Crystal just to make sure that he's got energy in hand to weld the next turn on a Blacephalon. I like this a lot.
Yep, definitely run through the numbers, make sure that you can get the full value out of your Fire Crystal, and then there's no reason to flood your deck with excess energy cards, which, although they're really helpful for you, they're one of those cards that they do the least for you a lot of the time.
Exactly.
All these other cards can help you dig, and you may as well fire off the crystal early, knowing that you're basically just going to be airmailing into nothing but fires from now on.
Yeah, exactly. And just to absolutely guarantee that you do have enough fire energy to do the well the next turn, and then just build up the extra ones you need to take the win with. Oh, Rafael just picked up his great catcher from the prizes as well.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much locked in at this point.
Yeah. With no reset stamp in sight as well.
Yeah, there's currently only 2 fire energies in his hand, so it would be a case of having to welder plus airmail a bunch of times to find 4 total energy cards.
Yeah, but that should be pretty
It should be
easy.
fine. We've seen how many he's just shuffled back in.
Exactly.
We see Robin, he's doing the game plan that he set out earlier. This is as much as he can do. He's got to try and make it difficult for Rafael. 270 is the most hit points Robin can put in the active position.
Yeah.
So this is the route he's got to go for. Make it as difficult as possible, but he's still, at best 3 attacks away from game, and Rafael is staring down, 1 attack from game.
Yeah, it's like, unfortunately for Robin, great catcher just makes this line of play not as effective as he would like.
Right, yeah. The only real hope is that Rafael has gone through so many fire crystals that finding all of those physical fires is the challenge.
Yeah.
But I can't see it being hugely difficult.
No.
We could be seeing the Ninetales bring up the Blacephalon on the bench. Yeah, that's what we're going to see here.
Yeah. And
it forces an extra Pokemon. It forces... Also, we've seen... Robin has seen the Ultra Space miss.
Yes.
So it tells him that there's a chance that there aren't any other non-GX Blacephalons in the deck as well.
Yeah, it might be the last one's prize, for example. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but Robin can't play on that subject.
You've got to try it.
You've got to play 2 routes, as we always say. Even if it's a very small chance, you still got to take it.
And it will force an extra fire energy at the very least.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
It means that we've got to see 5 fire energies out of Rafael.
There's
sorry, even more than 5. He's got to find way more. He's got to find 4 from hand and 3 on the board.
Yeah. So there's Welder attaching the 2, of course. 3 cards drawn, and he's got it.
That's a lot of fires.
That will definitely be
enough. Is that enough to close the game?
But
he has to manually attach 1. I think there's 150 in his hand right now.
But he just great catcher, right? Oh, okay, no,
yeah,
he needs
one
more
away, right? So he has 3 airmails to try and get 1 more energy.
Yeah, and he's going to do this. Well, I say he's going to do this sensibly. He's got the great catcher, so yeah, that's just one part of it. Now, yeah, just as long as he. Oh, he's got a Fire Crystal in hand.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Yep, that's his last Fire Crystal. Gets him easily enough to get over the line on Dedenne, and he's able to take it to 1-1 right now with a healthy 20 minutes on the clock to close out Game 3 even.
Yeah, wow, what an impressive performance for the Blacephalon deck there, showing what it can really do when it's, again, firing on all cylinders. It's an immensely powerful archetype when it gets going.
We've seen the highs and the lows. We've seen a draw pass, and we've seen a draw pass, but then draw and be good again. So, you know, anything could happen in this final game. We've seen it can have some rough openings, but as soon as those Pidgeotos come into play, the damage output is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is. And again, like you said, in this matchup especially, it just means you're so favored because even though Robin, he's not playing a massive GX engine. Ability Zard is not one of these decks that puts out like a billion tag team Pokemon and then just tries to overwhelm your opponent with that. You're normally playing maybe 1 or 2 Restaurant Charizard, maybe a Heatran, a couple of Dedenes, but even then, that's still up trading, it's still down trading compared to what the Blacephalon deck can do because
they're a Puritan non-GX.
Yeah,
they literally have nothing other than non-GXs apart from the one Heatran that they use that is normally like a finisher most of the time. So yeah, you can definitely see why it gets away with trying to have a few sort of slower turns as you build up that board, get yourself to a point where you can't lose. And Rafael didn't even see anything like a reset stamp from Robin either, so he's got to be feeling good about this game 3.
Yeah, pretty much the only thing you're kind of like scared of, I guess, if you're Blacephalon is, say if you get down that free Pidgeotto against Mewtwo and they can do a cross division of 200. That's obviously that's the one way that a tag team deck can sort of trade favorably. But even then, the Blacephalon can do so much damage that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really like the metagame call. I think Rafael made the shout that Malamar wasn't going to be hugely popular, and if I do face Mewtwo's, you just got to kind of take it on the chin. And even then, the Mewtwo player has to find a lot of energies and a lot of welders fast.
Yeah, it does.
So it forces the best hands out of Mewtwo players, and you hope that Malamar's not popular enough.
Yeah, very much so.
It's worked out really well for him today.
Yeah. So as we start off game 3, one thing worth mentioning in terms of the prizes is that Rafael has prized one of his Blacephalons. So again, not ideal. It's not the end of the world, but it's kind of when that's your only attack, you really don't want to prize any of them ideally.
Robin opens with Welder to his active Turtonator. He's got himself Pokemon Communication, he's got himself Dedenne. He's also got himself a backup Welder and a bunch of energies in hand, so he may just want to Communication something like a Jirachi and just not even go for Dede Change here.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he actually just goes for Vulpix. Okay, maybe not then. Maybe he does just want to go for the Dedenne straight away.
He'll also get to scout through his deck. As long as his Pal Pad's around, he may feel kind of okay going for a Dede Change play. Also, it's unlikely that Rafael can take a knockout on turn 1.
Yeah, that's true.
They oftentimes have to go for Professor Elm's Lecture to get rolling first, but it's not out of Rafael's range.
No, not at all.
So he may have to play a little on the safe side. It's going to be interesting to see how Robin tries to play this turn. He could try and just say, it's unlikely that my opponent will take a knockout here, so I'll hold this Welder and hope for the best. Or he'll have a more conservative route. It's going to be interesting to see which one he picks, because there's definitely arguments on both sides here.
Yeah, there really is. As we see that, the Communication being played to grab the Vulpix, of course, Ninetales, if you can get it up early enough and just pick off those Pidgeys, can be a great way to disrupt the setup. In the last game, it was too little too late to do that, but I imagine that's what Robin is considering here as he plays around with Fire Energy, maybe debating where to attach it.
The fact that he picked the Vulpix means he's probably just going to be passing here because he's got that Ninetales that he's clutching onto in hand. So I like this. This is a really calculated risk. It's good knowledge of the deck that he's up against. And we see a Welder for 1, so he can already breathe a sigh of relief that he's not going to have his Turtonator knocked out in 1 hit. And it's a big card for Rafael here.
Yeah, he finds another Welder. He has an Elms for next turn, but does he have any other Pokemon?
We're just seeing Pidgeotos.
Oh, no.
It's happened again. I don't believe this.
No.
It's just going to be a Blazer.
That's it. The game's
Robin shows
over.
him an energy. I don't believe this.
Oh.
It's,
Rafael.
Oh, it's so harsh to see that. We got to see, how great it can be, and also we see the ugly side of the archetype. That really is rough. Happening 2 times in a row, well, not in a row, but in a series is really unfortunate and not all that likely. He does play a lot of outs. He's got himself Pokegears, he's got himself Elms, he's got himself Jirachis, he's got himself a bunch of Pidgeys, he's got himself Ultra Space. I can list, he's got like 20 plus outs of cards that can put him in good shape to just not lose instantly, and yeah, it's a big miss.
Yeah, well, that's a real shame. Huge commiserations to Rafael piloting,